Hello lovely soul, and welcome to this behind the scenes video. It's part of my behind the scenes series where I dive into an angel message and card interpretation that I have shared that week, and we dive a bit deeper to see maybe why I have done something, why I've said something, the meaning behind something in particular, why something has caught my eye. This week's card is taken from Denise Lynn's Gateway Oracle cards. And the card in particular is exceeding expectations. I soar into excellence. This behind the scenes video is not so much about anything on the card itself. It's actually about the process that I went through to choose this card for my group reading this week, because the process was quite unusual. If you've ever received a reading from me, you'll know that I work quite closely with my amethyst pendulum. I don't use it all throughout the reading, I just use it to make sure we're on the right track and for added guidance. And I use my pendulum every week to choose the card for that week's group reading. And I use the pendulum at the start to direct me to the deck of cards that the angels wish me to use. After they have chosen the deck, then I open my heart and I shuffle my cards and I prepare myself as I usually would for a reading. And as I'm shuffling the cards, usually a card will fall out. And that says to me that is the card that the angels wish me to interpret. I always respect cards that fall out of a deck or jump out of a deck. However, today, whenever I was going through the process of choosing the deck and choosing the card, as I was shuffling the cards, a card jumped out. But something told me, my intuition told me, check with your pendulum, something I rarely do because I trust that the angels have chosen the card for me. So I placed the card, I didn't know what it was. I was seeing the back of the card, it had fallen out on the table, I could only see the back, and I took my pendulum and I held my pendulum over the card and I asked the angels if this was the card that they wished me to share. And the angels said no. So it was good to listen to my gut feeling. And it actually took me quite a few attempts until I came to this card. I didn't know what the card was because, again, I could only see the back of the card, so I wasn't being influenced in any way. And it was only eventually whenever I got to this card and asked the question again that the angel says, yes, this is the card we wish you to share today. Now, if I had shared any of the other cards, would it have been a bad thing? No, it wouldn't have. However, something just felt different inside of me. I knew my intuition was nudging me. And even though it's something I wouldn't do for my group reading, I checked to see which deck the angels wish me to use, but whenever I shuffle that deck and a card jumps out, I never second guess it. And today, for the first time, something just didn't feel 100%. I felt nudged to ask, and I am so grateful that I did. Like I said, it wouldn't have been a big deal if I had shared one of the other cards that had come out in the deck and I hadn't checked in with my pendulum. But because I listened to my gut, I listened to my heart and I listened to my intuition, I checked the card until I came to this card, which means that those who have received the angel message and card interpretation from me this week will have received the best message the angels wanted them to receive, the clearest message they wanted them to receive. The same message could have come through on the other cards, but the angels knew that this was the best card for me to use for their interpretation and the message that they wanted me to pass on to those who will be listening, reading and watching that card interpretation. So today's behind the scenes video is really encouraging you whenever you work with angel and oracle cards. Don't just get into that frame of mind that you know what all the colours are, you know what all the symbols are, you know about positionings, you know all the information, and you can just drill out a message. Remember who you're working with. Remember that you are working with the angels. Remember that you're working with your intuition and your higher self. And if you get that nudge, or if you get an unusual word or unusual picture or something in your mind, take heed and share that. Always share what you feel is right, provided it's not going to hurt anybody else. So in this instance, I had a nudge from my intuition to check the card that I was about to interpret. And the angel said to me, no, there's a better one that you can use. And because of that, those who listen, watch and read that interpretation will receive an even more powerful message this week than they would have done perhaps if I had have used one of the other cards. So remember, use your intuition, use your gut instinct, tune into it and open your heart to receive guidance from the angels every single time you work with your cards.